Hello world, welcome back to another edition of Hindsight 2020. I'm Steve O'Neill, and today we're going to be talking about communications. Well, I guess we've come a long way, from a cup on a string to cellular phones to the fact that I'm able to talk to you right now around the world. Communications is a huge part of disasters. In the real estate world and in the business world, there's a phrase that they will use where they say location, location, location. And if you don't get that right, your business may not perform the way you hope it will in the future. Well, in the disaster world, I can tell you that same phrase exists, but we call it a little different, and we say communication, communication, communication. If you do not have communication, there's a good chance that your plan, even if you had one, will fail. And even if you don't have a plan, if you have good communications, some might suggest that you'll do better than those that had a plan with bad communications. There are multiple elements of communications that we'll talk about, but the first one that's really important that we have to talk about apparently a cup and string is not the most reliable form of communication. But I bet when that dropped, when the audio dropped, I'm sure a few questions went through your mind. I'll bet that you probably looked at your volume button. You looked at the video. You were wondering, was it the audio on my end? Is the audio on his end? Did my internet drop? All of those small questions popped up because you didn't know what happened, what was going on. And that's a little mini example of something in the disaster world called the fog of the disaster. Just like now, it's not clear. When the disaster happens, and if you don't have good communications, even if you do, it will be fuzzy. You won't understand what's going on. Why can't I talk to them? Why can't they talk to me? Who knows what? What are the facts? It's the fog of the disaster that creates rumors. And now those rumors start to spread and cause you even more problems. A good example of rumors in our time are the rumors around Kim Jong-un's death in North Korea. It's been reported that he died. No, he didn't die. He went to his vacation resort. No, he was just hiding out from the coronavirus. No, he actually had heart surgery, and that heart surgery was botched, and so he's trying to recover. All those rumors, and nobody knows until he came out with a picture that showed that he's apparently doing alive and well. Those rumors were going to persist. It reminded me of a Mark Twain story. Mark Twain was in London, and a reporter in the United States broke a story that Mark Twain had died. And Mark Twain ended up writing a quote that said, "The rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated." Great quote, and I bet you that's what Kim Jong-un is saying right now. Rumors will persist for a simple fact that you've got to get out in front of it, tell the truth, and when you do that, the situation will come into focus. You'll be able to focus on the event and not focus on chasing the rumors that are created because everybody was in the fog of the disaster. How can we do that? because we got to get that message out quickly. I love exercises, and here's one that not only is a good exercise for this piece, but is also something that will get your senior management involved. And that is this. Identify a situation, whatever you want. Active shooter, tornado, something that happened to your business, whatever that might be, and then ask your management, whoever that is, or the public relations person, or whoever it is, to write down the statement that would be said to the press, or put in an email, or delivered to people, to customers, about how you would define the situation. Because that's where the rubber meets the road. And when an executive has to actually put pencil to paper and write something down, they really have to think clearly and concisely about what they would want to say, how they would want to say it, and the other factors involved. You've got to have that discussion before the event, because doing it during the event, you don't know what to do. That's one exercise you can do. Another exercise, see how your competitors react to a disaster. And you can watch it real time. Now hopefully it's not affecting you as well, but you can watch how they react to a disaster and see what they do. And now you are able to take that same scenario and talk about it internally and say to yourselves, is that what we would have said? Or learn from their lessons. Ooh, that's not the right thing to say. That's not the best thing to do. Those are two things that are going to get you miles ahead of a disaster before it even happens. I'm going to put a link at the bottom of this video that's going to provide the best example I can give you to showing why it's important to start now on identifying how you're going to communicate and what you're going to communicate very quickly. Let me set the stage. In September of 2018, in the middle of the afternoon on a weekday, 83 homes suddenly exploded across 3 towns in the Boston area. Fires broke out. People were in pandemonium. There were traffic jams. Phone calls were getting jammed because everybody was trying to understand what was going on. It was a disaster. And the interview you're about to see is one of the mayors of one of those towns, about 24 hours after the event occurred, talking about the situation. You will see the frustration, the desperation, the confusion that not getting out quickly after a disaster can cause. It's so critical to get out there quickly. Even if you don't know what all of the facts are, if you're out in front and giving people a place to go so that you can disseminate that information and collect it, that's important. So I hope you'll click that link. It's really, really important, and it's very emotional to understand what this mayor is going through in this disaster. So our first component of communications is to inform, to kill the rumors. Another part of informing is making sure that you're telling the people, or that people know how to contact you, right? So you were focusing first on how we're going to communicate outbound and what are we going to say. But you also have to make sure you inform people on how to help you. In disasters, all kinds of people want to help, but you have to help them understand how they can help. A good example of a story I remember from a few years ago is a hospital got hit in Missouri. And when it got hit by a tornado, the next day people came out of their homes 30 miles away and suddenly discovered X-rays on their driveway. Yes, somebody's X-rays, your private health information is sitting on somebody's driveway. And when those people wanted to do the right thing, they would go to the hospital website, and the hospital website was completely down. So they couldn't get their information that way. They tried to call the main number, and all they got was a fast busy signal. So now you have people in the community that want to help you get back, help you do the right thing, and they didn't have a way to get to you. The first piece of the communications puzzle is informing, both outbound and inbound. A second key piece is change. How are you going to communicate your plan has changed? And it will. Plans are good on paper, but scenarios are always different. And for some weird reason, disasters never go as planned. Like in this scenario, here we are, I'm on the other side of a ravine. I try to communicate. I realize that the line of communication is down. So I give visual clues to tell my people, to tell the employees what to do, where to go. We can't get across this, so what are we going to do? Having some way to communicate that plan is important. Otherwise, they're going to be sitting on the other side going, what do we do now? Where do we go? What do we do? Good job. Things start to get very scary on this topic when you are talking about an active shooter. You've got to make sure that you inform those people quickly what's going on and what to do. And you may not be able to do that. You may just be able to tell them that, hey, something is going on. And that goes back again to identifying before the event ever occurs, what are you going to say? Because before the event, as you think through it, is when you can think precisely and have the right message at the right time, that it's ready to go and it gets out to the people who need it. Communications. Simple principle, but if not used or not used in the right way, can have great consequences on how successful you are before or after a disaster. Now, I'm glad that we moved on from these, and we've moved to technology now that can do amazing things. With the right applications, within minutes, we can get a notice out to people that there's an active shooter in the building. Within minutes, we can tell people that there's a tornado inbound and they need to seek shelter. We have a way for people that are buried in rubble to be able to be found. We have a way for people to communicate back when they're in danger. Amazing technology abilities with this, and so many people don't use them to their advantage. Of course, with this, there are pros and cons, as we learned in our earlier session. There's a camera, and the fact that this is connected to social media are some pros and cons when we talk about reputation management, that if you don't get your communications right at the very beginning, that will bite you as well. But at the end of the day, you've got to communicate. And what we're trying to do here is save lives. So think about what you're going to say, be prepared to say it, and let's save some lives. See you on the next session. Thanks for watching. Hindsight 2020.